You open your eyes. Everything looks normal. Same bed, same ceiling, same sunlight slipping through the blinds. But something feels off. You step outside and freeze. Your neighbor's house, the one that's always had a green door, is now red. Not freshly painted, just red, like it's always been that way. You check your phone. There's a photo of you laughing at a restaurant you've never been to with people you've never met. Your stomach tightens. Your mind whispers, déjà vu. But it's too real, too sharp, too deep. What if this isn't déjà vu at all? What if you actually moved to another dimension? That tiny shift in color, memory, or reality just might be the universe whispering that you are not where you think you are. We like to believe that our reality, our universe, is set in stone. Fixed. A single timeline that exists on its own. But what if that's an illusion? What if reality isn't one flat surface, but millions of thin layers stacked together, each one holding a slightly different version of your life? In one layer, you missed that bus. In another, you caught it and got to meet the mother of your kids. In another, it could be a word you said to your dad or a person you met. Could even be a decision you didn't know you took, like waiting to help the old woman cross the street. And those could be the thing creating tiny branches that stretch into entire new worlds. Some scientists believe this could be true. They call it the multiverse.
There literally are other universes out there.
Infinite dimensions existing side by side, invisible yet just a heartbeat away. We are even tired of that stuff appearing all over media. But what if it's true, and if those realities overlap, even for a fraction of a second? Maybe that's when things start to slip. In fact, maybe the you sitting there right now isn't the same one who fell asleep last night. Maybe there's a you that's not seeing this video, or maybe there's a you that made this viral video. But that's a lot of maybes. So what if, by pure accident, you stepped through one of those folds in reality? What would it feel like? First, you wouldn't even notice. Everything would look normal enough. But it's the small things, the microscopic details, that would start to twist your mind. Your favorite song by Wanya Kest suddenly has a verse where they feature Lua Daipa, and you're very sure that never existed before. Your friend remembers a childhood story completely differently, one you're sure happened another way. And that cafe on the corner? Starbucks. Yeah, Starbucks is actually now Starburst. You freak out. You have always gotten your regulars there on your way to work. You tell yourself it's just your memory playing tricks. Maybe you're tired. Maybe you're stressed. But then you see something you can't explain. The Subaru you parked out just yesterday after you got back from the bar is now a Toyota. Honestly, those not-so-tiny details would feel like you are in a dream. And you would pinch yourself because it would be too vivid. A dream where everyone else is convinced nothing's except you. You start asking questions. But the answers only make it worse. People insist you're wrong, that things have always been this way. You even begin to doubt yourself, wondering if you've lost touch with reality. Yeah. You might even end up in a hospital if you don't quickly get to terms with what you are seeing. But deep down, a voice keeps whispering, no, this isn't right. Scientists say déjà vu happens when the brain mistakes a new memory for an old one. But what if déjà vu is actually your brain catching up to a new dimension? One your consciousness just shifted into. One where a decision you made the night before branched into another dimension. Not much difference, just one you probably haven't noticed. We also have to admit that there would be dimensions where you'd move to and there wouldn't be any major changes. And maybe those are the ones we shift to regularly. And if that's true, how would you ever know which version of home was real? Would it even matter? Because the more you try to trace your way back, the more reality starts to blur, until you realize that maybe there was never just one version of you to begin with. And if that theory is true, that every decision creates another version of reality, then maybe there's another you watching this video right now, who already hit subscribe. So go ahead, sync the timelines. Join them, because from here, things get even stranger. We say this because sci-fi has just touched the surface of what could be possible when it comes to interdimensional travel. And with the backing of science, we can't rule out the fact that this could all be real. In physics, there's something called the many worlds interpretation. It was theorized by Hugh Everett in the 1950s, a man who basically said, every possible outcome of every decision actually happens, just in different realities. You spill your coffee in this one, you catch it in another. Both outcomes exist side by side. Then there's string theory. This one suggests that everything from atoms to galaxies is made of vibrating strings, each humming at a different frequency. Change the frequency, and you might be tuning into another version of the universe. Physicist Brian Greene also described it like radio channels where all the songs exist simultaneously, but you only hear the one your dial is tuned to. So what if our consciousness works the same way? Quantum experiments show that particles can exist in multiple states at once, something called superposition. They only pick a state when someone observes them, which means that until you look, every possible version already exists. So maybe when your consciousness shifts through trauma, deep sleep, meditation, or pure accident, it's like retuning your internal frequency. You don't disappear. You just start receiving a slightly different channel. To everyone else, life goes on as usual. But for you, the lyrics of the song have changed. And suddenly, you're the only one who remembers how the world used to sound. But of course, there have been real-life incidents where some people tuned into our dimension. Ordinary people who swear they've seen something they can't explain. We also know about the famous Mandela Effect, where thousands of people remember Nelson Mandela dying in prison during the 1980s. But then records show that he lived until 2013 and the world tuned in for the ceremony. Others recall Berenstain Bears, spelled with an E instead of Berenstain. You remember the Monopoly Man debacle? Did he ever have a monocle? Most say yes. Reality says no. Some stories go even deeper, like the man that was detained at a Tokyo airport in 1954, carrying a passport from a country called Taured. The passport had official stamps, maps, and currency, but the nation didn't exist. Within a day, the man vanished from his guarded hotel room and was never seen again. Then there are people who claim they woke up to find loved ones gone, entire relationships erased. To them, their memories are perfect, the world just rearranged. Skeptics call it memory error. But when thousands of people recall the same false event, at what point does coincidence start to look like overlap? Maybe these glitches are tiny tears in the fabric of reality, where two versions of the world brushed against each other for just a moment. And if you were standing close enough, maybe you fell through. So let's say it happened. You went to bed last night in your world and woke up in one that's almost the same. Almost. You almost instantly start to test yourself. Old notes, photos, receipts, anything that can prove what you remember is real. But one by one, the evidence fades. Your memories still feel solid, but they don't match the world you're in. It's like being a tourist in your own life. Your friends know you, but they don't know you. But there's a possibility that you integrate and soon enough you forget that you ever made that switch. Sure, it would hurt as you would be losing some memories you made along the way. Maybe in this dimension, your favorite team has never won the Super Bowl. All this would definitely hurt. But another question to ask is, if this isn't your timeline, what happened to the version of you that belonged here? Did you switch places?
You're not Peter Parker.
Here's the thing about reality. We like to believe it's solid. That this world, this timeline, is the one true version of life. But maybe it's just the one you've stayed tuned to the longest. Maybe we cross dimensions more often than we think. In choices we make, dreams we forget, or memories that don't fit anymore. Each one could be a doorway, small, invisible, waiting for the right moment to open. But what if you were hijacked from your dimension by another version of yourself? Would you be a prisoner or a passenger in your own body? We'll look at this in our next video. And if this gave you chills, hit like and share so others can join the discussion.